Beyond the Junkyard.
So, what do you guys want to talk about?
Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of the Beyond the Junkyard podcast. And I know if you're sitting here watching live, you're like, who is this man with me? It's not the normal man who's always here. We hope the best to K-Dog and his wife. His wife underwent surgery yesterday and is in recovery, so we hope the best for her. And but because of that, we already were planning on having this man on the show, but he is my co-host today. It is the man, the myth, the legend. It is DJ Wavy D. What's up, my man?
What is popping? It feels great to be here on Beyond the Junkyard. All right, represent for all the Junkyard boys out there. You know what I'm saying? Love to be here.
Yes, sir. And I was talking to my brother off air. You're spending more time on this show than your own show this week.
Yeah, this work schedule is killing me. But I will be back on the show this Tuesday. The work schedule says I got Tuesday off, so I'll be making my return to the Slap and Meat Wrestling podcast.
Beautiful. Yeah, y'all check them out on YouTube. They're not live. They do the old school recording and upload. So there's not a specific time it gets uploaded, but it's Tuesday night at some point. Subscribe to their YouTube channel and definitely check them out. They got some good stuff on the show. But tonight, we're going to break down some AEW stuff. AEW All In is this Sunday. And then some other rumored things going on in AEW. But first, I gotta do my promos real quick. We are a WWE shop affiliate. Link in the description below. I don't have the cool little QR code like y'all have, but it's in the description box below. Click the link there. Help us out. Join the Discord. The link is shown on screen. I'll have to type it out in the chat here in just one moment, and we can get that. Y'all can join our Discord and take part of the discussion there, and play around with some of the stuff we got going on there. The show is powered by W Energy, W.GG. Buy your energy drinks and powders there using the code Beyond the Yard, and you can save 10% off your order. And just this afternoon, I got confirmation. There's another link in the description box. Y'all, the football season's starting up. Basketball season's going to start up here soon. And I know we want to go see some sporting events. There's a link in there to StubHub. You use that link, buy your tickets using my link, and you can help support the podcast that way as well. You're going to want to take advantage of that. I'm not 100% sure if there's a discount on them. I don't think so. I think there's just a commission on our end. But use our link. You're going to buy the tickets anyway. Help support the Beyond the Junkyard podcast. All right, let's get going with the main event, the main card. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't joined the casual Discord, but I have been watching some of the casual wrestling stuff. And so I'm going to pull a little gimmick infringement here. I'm going to pull a segment that Nerdy D has been doing on his Wednesday show, I think, or whatever. We're going to do some hot takes real quick. I'm going to let you spit a hot take. It could be AEW, it could be WWE, it could be anything. And I'll share a hot take and what we think is going on. You're the guest. I'll let you have the floor first, my friend.
Ooh, let's see. I was ready for this one. Hot take. Let's see. A wrestling hot take that I got. So, not to spoil anything for later on in the show, but I think Trevor Mann is in for a big year coming up. And for those who don't know, Trevor Mann is formerly known as Ricochet or Prince Puma. I think this man got a big year ahead of him. If AEW uses him correctly, he can be one of their biggest signings. Okay, not only is he a very talented wrestler, but he also has the namesake and the face sake of being attached to the Federation. You know what I'm saying? To the Goliath of WWE, and so not only the moveset and and the face recognition, booked correctly, he can throw in some bangers with the talented wrestlers over in the AEW men's division.
I like it. I like it, my friend. I'm going to run this hot take for you. I think we're having some network difficulties on his side, but we'll get him back in here in just a minute. But my hot take, and here we go. I got him back. Are you good? I don't know if it's on my end or your end.
It might be my end. Uploading a temporary pause. Okay. Anyways, where I leave off. Yeah, I think Ricochet is going to be a big deal for AEW this year. Hopefully, they can pair him up with some of their amazing wrestlers like Ospreay, Moxley, Penta while he's still there, Orange Cassidy. The list goes on and on of the talented workers they have. Now let's not waste this talent and let's make it a good show.
Absolutely. My hot take. This might come as a shock to y'all, because I'm gonna praise WWE for a minute. I think they have the best tag team division, or they're building the best tag team division in all of pro wrestling. And it used to be AEW's tag team division was the best. But I like the way that WWE is building that tag team division, and they're about to get a few other good tag teams. Lucha Bros are rumored and most likely going to show up. They're going to get Motor City Machine Guns at some point to show up there. And I like the tag team division in AEW. I'm not a big fan of whatever the heck Chad Gable stable is, but I like the Creeds. I think that they're a good heel tag team, but AEW has focused so hard on creating a really good women's division that they've almost just completely discredited their tag team division. Like, the tag team titles mean absolutely nothing in AEW right now, whereas the tag team division is pretty decent in WWE.
I do like our tag team division a lot. But right now, we get the titles that are tied with both shows as far as they're involved in factions. The Judgment Day one's a little easier because they wrestle more tag team matches and they can easily lose it. But I fear that the Bloodline is to hold on to those titles and effort to get the Bloodline Civil War going. So hopefully they let go of those titles soon.
Absolutely, but you mentioned him on your hot take, but let's talk about Ricochet. Sean Ross Sapp, everyone's favorite commentator. Just kidding. Not a lot of people like him. But he mentioned earlier today that basically Ricochet is confirmed to AEW, possibly showing up even as early as Sunday. And it's a multi-year deal. And like you said, I think this could be one of AEW's best signings. But the problem is AEW, like a good example is Okada. He was a really big signing, but honestly, kind of a letdown with what he's been doing, and the way that they're booking Okada to come in. I haven't been absolutely thrilled with the booking of Okada. And like I have said about NXT's booking of former AEW talent, I'm terrified at what AEW might do to a former WWE talent. And they're going to give him this massive push at the beginning. And then I don't want him just to sit middle of the road. Because like you said, Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher, Moxley, Swerve, there's the Swerve Ricochet story that they could build, because they both were in Lucha Underground together. They could build a really big story there. I don't know if they'll do it though. So that's my biggest issue. How are they going to book him? It'll be a good signing. You could have the Will Ospreay effect where he's like the biggest guy in your company after he signs, or you could have the Okada effect where he's just kind of there and everybody knows who he is in your niche audience, but you really haven't done anything to show what Okada can actually do.
Well, Okada, I think a big issue has always been the language barrier. I guess he can speak more English than he lets on, but when he's on TV and weekly, all I see from him is letting the B word slip.
Right.
I just I need a little bit more. Saying same thing with people like Kyrie saying she has a harder time of speaking English than Io and Asuka.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's saying something.
So it's funny you mentioned Kyrie Sane because I saw a picture of Kyrie Sane on the internet floating around today with her and Mina Shirakawa in Florida. Now, the rumor is Mina Shirakawa is supposed to be in London, England, playing some piece of the Tony Storm match, but she's hanging out with NXT talent over in NXT land. I don't know if we need to take anything into it, but there it is again, another former Stardom talent possibly building a relationship with WWE. Honestly, Julia's going to show up at some point. You got Stephanie Vacher coming in at some point. It wouldn't shock me if Mina Shirakawa showed up in WWE because she does better under the entertainment aspect. Like the in-ring work is great, but the whole storytelling, she's really good at that as well. And Stardom is kind of built to tell some kind of comical stories and the love stories and all of that. It wouldn't shock me if she ended up going to NXT or WWE. Any thoughts on Mina Shirakawa hanging out with some WWE girls?
She's the one that's part of the love triangle with
Tony
and
Mariah. Yep.
Okay. I have not seen her in the ring very yet. I've only seen her when I watched like the love triangle stuff go on. I actually haven't seen her. I haven't sat down and watched her in a match from bell to bell. So I'm not too sure of her talent. If you know what I'm saying, if you're big on her, if you're high on her and her ring work, I trust your judgment on her ring work. As far as bringing in more talent right now, as far as the women's division, I want to see the people that we got first before I start bringing in more and more people, especially if they're not going to go the NXT route. If they're going to go straight to the main roster. I want to see what Julia and Stephanie have to offer. I do think one, if not both, I think one of them debuts at No Mercy coming up. I think they're going to face the winner of I see that's what Randall said. Boom. I think one of them debuts this Sunday or next Sunday at No Mercy to face the winner of Roxanne and Jada Parker.
Right. And let me tell you something. I watched the NXT women's division only because that's the only part of NXT I'm interested in. They got a pretty decent women's division down in NXT. I'll be honest with you. Sol Ruka's nice. Jada Parker's decent in the ring. We got what's her name? Lola Vice.
Lola Vice, yeah.
Roxanne's obviously really good. So they Kalani Jordan's really nice. NXT got themselves a pretty nice women's division. It'll be cool to see some of those women join the fray there. But yeah, I agree. I don't know if she has a place right now because she's known, but she's not as well known as like a Stephanie Vacher or a Julia. So I think AEW is more of her niche to get more well known to a bigger audience if she were to go the American route. One more story to quickly go over before we break down this all-in card. TV deal. AEW. Apparently, again, this is Sean Ross Sapp. I subscribe to Fightful Select. I think the reporting is decent. It's worth the $5 I pay to get these stories. at least double the current value of the last TV deal. But we know the first 4 years were 175 million over 4 years. Then they did a 5th-year extension, and we have no clue how much that 5th-year extension was worth. So it's really hard to tell what the number's going to be, but based off of rumored numbers, if they do a 5-year deal, it's probably going to be close to like 500 million. It's like 100 million a year, which is a big jump from where they were, but it's not. I don't think it's as big as a number as AEW would have hoped for. But at the end of the day, you got to take the best deal. Tony Khan was on Barstool Sports podcast today or yesterday with a HBO Max hat on. I think the deal is coming to fruition to be announced pretty soon. I have some wants I want in the deal. We need Max included. Pay-per-views so expensive. At least cut the price or have them included in a Max subscription or something. That's a big want. And we need the library on Max, and just to have easier access to watch former shows, because you can watch former pay-per-views on Fight, but you got to pay for them. And they're still like $30 on Fight to watch old pay-per-views. So I'd love to have the library, and I would love to have ROH somewhere involved in the TV deal, though I don't know if that's going to happen this time around. But your overall opinion on the rumored number, 100 million a year, 500 million over 5 years probably for AEW TV?
I think okay. So from my perspective and what I was hearing last year and earlier this year is that there's a lot of AEW fans who were spitballing the number like 750 to 1 billion, and then I was just like I couldn't see where the money was justified at. And if we're bringing it down to 500 million, 400 to 500 million, that ballpark, I find it more reasonable. The big thing is, from speculation is that Tony was paying wrestlers and on what he was hoping to get out of this TV deal is what was kind of being thrown out there. So hopefully, he's happy with the money that he got. That way he can, pay wrestlers and still have enough, revenue to work with to put on good shows. I do think he has to be a little bit smarter with budgeting. I hope the TV deal does include a streaming service and does include video on demand, for their library. Especially if you want to grow the AEW fan base and, get more fans, I might tune into a random pay-per-view because I see some of my favorite wrestlers wrestling. But then, as I'm, waiting for that show to start or after the show ends, if I have the opportunity to go back and see the pay-per-view before that, and some of your more historical shows, that's how you grow a fan, or that's one way to grow fans. So I definitely think having that video library on demand as part of a subscription service is very important. Just because your weekly TV might not get it done, especially if the way we're watching TV is different. If we're not sitting down watching live TV, we need a reliable source to go back and watch these shows on demand. So I guess in all, if Tony can get good money, get his show on streaming services, low key, I think the best way that Tony could kind of run weekly TV is if you can tour Dynamite, tour that around smaller venues, but I think you gotta bring Collision and Rampage together into one show, one umbrella. Say either cut Rampage, just make Collision 3 hours, or you could keep it 2 hours, but I think you make Collision 3 hours or whatever, and then you hold Collision at a home studio. whether it be down in Jacksonville or maybe like one of your big marketplaces, like you have a weekly show in like Philly or Chicago or whatever. Say you rent out a studio or rent out a small venue, or hey, buy a small venue. You know what I'm saying? And then you hold your where you put your I guess you could say lower end talent or your newer talent or your young talent. Saying they kind of build up on that show, almost like a SmackDown. Because SmackDown, historically has been, the B show in some cases. And then you have your main stars like your Moxleys and your Jerichos and your Swerves, Hangman, so and so. You put them on Dynamite, and those guys are the ones that are touring around the country, on a traveling show. And I think that's kind of your best bet going forward.
So this question was popped up in one of my group chats. Last night they were in Cardiff for Dynamite, and the crowd was actually pretty decent. They sold that arena out, and the crowd in England is just a different breed than an American crowd. And so the question was brought up: should AEW move their headquarters to like England? And I think we could kind of implement your idea if we had Collision running on a live American time zone, and they're just touring. I'm sorry, not Collision. Dynamite, just touring the States weekly. And then you could have Rampage and Collision on tape delay in England, because I think it's cheaper to have. It's like Tony Khan could rent out a British company, a British studio, or a small venue, or a small amphitheater, or whatever venue he went to Wales, and just run your Collision and your Rampage tape delay in England, and then for pay-per-views, all they got to do is travel, because they're not doing live TV. They can just travel during the week to whatever venue the pay-per-view would be. That way, one, the cost of production could get lowered because you're in the same event, but then you wouldn't have the appeal of like a small crowd. You have that feel of like your fan base is there and is celebrating. I think for a casual audience, and you tell me if I'm lying, because I'm not a casual fan, I will admit that, the appearance of how the crowd looks plays into a lot on what they think about a show. So if you can look like you have a full venue, then they're going to be like, oh, this is something that I should tune into. Whereas Rampage, that they taped at the Dynamite I went to in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, with like 30 people in the crowd, like it doesn't look like people are even interested to go to the show. So why should I be interested to spend an hour to watch it?
No, yeah, I definitely feel that if your crowd looks and sounds like it's full and rambunctious, it gives off a better showing on TV. Saying you have crowds like Prime TNA that were ran out of the studio, that were packed weekly, and they were energetic. You had the ECW arena where you had like the same fans weekly, and those guys were rambunctious. So I feel like if you could fill a small or mid-size, like anywhere from like 500 to 1,000, saying just a nice studio or a nice small venue that you're filled in with passionate fans. Also, if it's a smaller venue, it's not that the tickets aren't that expensive, so that you're not pricing out your market or pricing out your fan base. But WWE does do quite often. They kind of price out their fans sometimes, depending on the state, venue, show that they're doing. Now, since you're more of a hardcore fan, where if they were to say host one of their shows out of England or out of the UK or whatever, what's like I guess the biggest promotion that runs out of UK or Europe that they would be, I guess, competing against or competing with, or
So I would say Rev Pro.
Okay.
Osprey came from Rev Pro. MJF fought Michael Oku at Rev Pro a couple weeks ago. And I was actually going to bring that up. So before NXT was a thing, like WWE ran their developmental talent out of OVW or out of Florida Championship Wrestling before they ended up turning that into NXT. Like you could have Rev Pro be your developmental company. It's an indie show with a passionate fan base, and you can introduce new characters there, get them introduced to a live audience in Rev Pro, and then have them do occasional AEW shows on a Rampage or a Collision. Because, I mean, let's just be honest, Collision was built with the intention of appeasing CM Punk. And ever since CM Punk has left, there's just hasn't had like there's some weeks I don't even watch Collision, and I'm a passionate AEW fan. But I'll straight up tell you, I barely watch Rampage, and there's some weeks I don't watch Collision, or if I watch Collision, it's days later, just because I got stuff to do. And that time slot for Friday at 10 and Saturday at 8, that's when college football starting up. I'm gonna be watching college football. Or I'm going to be, hanging out with friends or whatever. And so I love wrestling, but it's not my life. And I got stuff to do. I got other things that I like to watch. And sometimes wrestling takes second place. And so if we could have it on tape delay, and again, with the TV deal, and if a TV deal was in place to where we could have it on demand, they wouldn't even have to have it at a 10 o'clock hour. They could just upload it on Max and let the fans watch it whenever they want to watch it. And have it like NXT. When NXT was on the network, it wasn't a TV produced weekly show. That's when I loved NXT the most, was when it was like I could just tune it on. Like you can upload an episode every Wednesday, but like I could watch it on a Friday if I couldn't make it. And it's not like, oh, I got to watch it every Wednesday so that we hit this number on TV. Like, it's just on demand, and I can watch it whenever I can get to it.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big reason why I'm excited for Monday Night Raw to go to Netflix.
Right.
And I feel like that would be like an early tell to see, how wrestling does on a on-demand streaming service.
Right.
So you have the chance to watch it live. And then the next question is, how quick is the turnover to where they put the recorded show,
Right.
for on demand?
Right. Well, and you could see the tape delay of Dynamite for international fans. If they don't have TBS, they have to watch it on Fight TV, and there was an hour delay. So I was watching it at 8 o'clock, but the people who were watching it on Fight couldn't watch it till 9 o'clock. So
is that why people on Twitter were talking about stopping the spoilers? I was confused. Yep. I was like, when you get a spoiler? I was like, it's just you're live tweeting.
Because of the tape delay, Fight TV had an issue where there was some run over on production or whatever, and they couldn't get it out at 8 o'clock. So they put it out at 9 o'clock, but we're already an hour ahead. But yeah, let's jump in. Just push through here. This AEW All-In card, there's 9 matches on the main card and 1 match on the pre-show, 10 matches total. And I'm going to just go ahead and be completely honest with you. I'm almost certain we're going to get a couple more pre-show matches, either announced on Rampage or on Collision on Saturday, because Tony Khan always has like at least 14 matches on his card, and so to have 10, unless he wants a couple of these matches to go like 60 minutes, I just have a feeling there'll be more matches being announced. We'll just go down the list as I see it on Wikipedia. K-Dog is out, but he gave me his predictions, so let me pull those up real quick. And we're going to start with the pre-show match, It is a mixed tag team match between Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway against Willow Nightingale and Tomohiro Ishii, with a stipulation being the winning team gets to pick a stipulation of the match between Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander at All Out in 3 weeks time. I can't remember exactly which week. I think it's 2 weeks time. I believe that match at All Out will be for the CMLL Women's Champion that Nightingale won in place of Stephanie Bacher leaving. Who you got winning this tag team match, my friend?
Okay, this is a dumb question. Tomohiro Ishii, is that a man or a woman?
That is a man. He's
okay, so it's a mixed tag match. Okay.
Mixed tag match, yep.
I was like, I know Stokely's not the most intimidating figure, but I didn't know if they're doing Statlander and him versus two women. All right.
Ishii, he goes by the nickname the Stone Pitbull. He looks to me.
Oh, the guy who had the chop fist with Chris Jericho.
Yes.
Oh, I hate that match, by the way. I will give Jericho credit for bleeding the hard way off his chest. And since that happened, it made the following Monday Night Raw when Priest and Gunther were going at it. Was it Priest and Gunther? Or whatever. It was Priest and... Oh, yeah. Priest and Gunther fought at SummerSlam right after that. And he bled the hard way off the chest. And I was like, dang. Only if it happened like 3 nights before.
Right.
Let's see. If I'm thinking wrestler logic, the winner of this match gets to determine the stipulation for their blow-off match at the next pay-per-view at All Out. So, I would guess the heels win this match, gives a stipulation, and then the face wins the next show. So, give me Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway winning the match and determining the stipulation for their next match All Out.
See, now I'm thinking the same way you are. I'm thinking the heels win this match because, like, you again, wrestler logic, you would just think the bad guys get to pick the stipulation. They're going to pick something that gives them a really, like, nice advantage, and then the babyface will overcome all the odds. So I'm going Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway as well. But Cody, he's thinking opposite of us. He has Willow and Ishii winning this match. And I will say Cody is like almost undefeated picking these things. So that might be the case there. Next match that is on this list, the AEW Women's World Championship, Timeless Toni Storm versus Mariah May, in a match that I've been predicting was going to happen for ever since Mariah May showed up in AEW. I'm going to pick Mariah May to win. But I hate this because this will be the second year in a row that AEW gave the Wembley crowd the hometown win. So Saraya won the title at All In last year off of Toni Storm. I think Toni Storm's going to lose to Mariah May because Mariah May's the heel, but she's a hometown girl. I think she's going to actually get a pretty good pop.
Isn't Toni Storm also from the UK?
I believe Europe? She's from Australia. Now, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure she's from Australia, but she trained in England.
Gotcha. I only ask because what is she part of NXT UK?
Yeah, I think so. She was part of the first Mae Young Classic, signed shortly after, and I think she was initially part of NXT UK.
Yeah, give me Mariah May. This definitely would have made more sense if Tony turned on Mariah and Tony was the heel going into this. Mariah was the baby face. Especially because you could have done like Tony was mad that Mariah entered the tournament in the first place, knowing the outcome of the tournament. Yada yada. But give me Mariah May.
And we'll go with the clean sweep on that match. I think it's pretty obvious to tell. I've given AEW credit that some of their matches on pay-per-views are pretty hard to predict. I think this was one of the easiest ones to predict. 3 for 3 for Mariah May. Here we go. And if y'all want to play along, you can just always put your answer in the chat, and I might show it on the screen. Next match, I think this might be co-main. Obviously, the main event is going to be Swerve and Danielson. But MJF defends the AEW American Championship against Will Ospreay. I think this match goes. So, tell me if this logic is wrong. First match between them, where MJF won the belt, was 59 minutes, 58 seconds. I think they're going to have another 60-minute classic. And I think Ospreay wins. But it's going to go 60 again. And I hate it because this match, they shouldn't have gone 60 in the first place, the first time. That should have been a 20-minute match at most. But the fact that they went 60 the first time, and the only reason Ospreay lost is because he couldn't pull the Tiger Driver out. I have a feeling I know how the ending of this match is going to be, and I'm going to get an Ospreay dub.
Oh, let's see. So, let's see. So, the winner of this match faces Pac.
Correct.
And Pac is also an Englishman. He's from Northeast England. So maybe MJF, he's defending this this United States or this American Championship, saying against these foreign talents, and, maybe they want to push his uber American heel gimmick even further, and maybe we get. See, I don't. The problem is that if MJF wins their second matchup, there's not really a reason to give Will Ospreay a third matchup unless he puts something on the line, like to get another chance at it. But then, what sells more? Do you think sells more money? MJF versus Pac or Will Ospreay versus Pac in Chicago? And if MJF loses, who does he face? Maybe. Actually, here's my prediction. I think Will Ospreay wins.
Okay.
I think he finally gets the courage to hit the Tiger Driver again. And there might also be a little shenanigans from Mr. Daniel Garcia.
Okay.
And then we get MJF versus Daniel Garcia at All Out in Chicago. Okay. That gets MJF on the card. Or maybe, MJF comes on the show on Dynamite the following Dynamite and complains about his loss to Will Ospreay, and then Daniel blindsides him or something. So I think Ospreay walks out of All In as champion. And he beats MJF. And yeah.
I like it. And then think about the Garcia aspect, but that's a good possibility. Cody does also pick Will Ospreay to win. So again, another clean sweep, 3 for 3. Either way, I think that might be match of the night. Though that Swerve match is that Swerve match might put up a stiff competition. A match that I can guarantee you will not win match of the night is next, and it's a coffin match for the AEW TNT Championship between Jack Perry and AEW's favorite risk taker, Darby Allin, who is undefeated. They made sure to make this point. He's undefeated in coffin matches in his AEW career. Every time they mention small things like that, I'm just I guess I'm too smart of a fan to just think they're just saying that just for fun. I think Jack Perry wins this match with some help from the Elite. I also do think we'll get appearance from Sting, but Jack Perry overall wins the match.
Okay. Yeah, I think. Oh yeah, I think Jack Perry wins this match too, just because he kind of like just got the TNT Championship. He's still trying, put some prestige of from his name into the championship. Darby, like you said earlier, is already like a 2 or 3 time champion. Um, and yeah, I do think we get maybe some interference by Okada since he's not on the card. I think the Bucks will be preoccupied with their match later. I think Okada comes down, and then maybe Sting. And I got it. So my winner is Jack Perry, and I got a bonus prediction.
All right.
I think after Jack Perry puts Darby Allin in the coffin, he sets the coffin on fire.
I like it.
He gets payback from Blood and Guts when Darby threatened to set him on fire.
Is there any opportunity or any chance that Jack Perry makes a cameo to last year's All In and says like "Cry Me a River" again or something? Because I feel like Tony Khan is that petty that he would do that again, or this is real glass or something, like just to poke fun at what happened at All In last year.
Yeah, there's definitely a chance. And then even if Tony tells them not to, you know what I'm saying? Those boys go business for themselves. They'll still do it.
Next match on the card, I'm actually really excited for this match. It is the TBS Championship match between Mercedes Moné and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. And I got a wild prediction for this one. So Mercedes is going to come out with Camille, and I think at some point in time we'll probably get either a ref bump or a distraction of some point, and we'll get Jamie Hayter coming back to her hometown crowd. But I think Jamie Hayter attacks Britt Baker, ends that friendship right away. We can get a Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter storyline leading and starting up in Chicago, put them right back on the card, and Mercedes Moné retains the belt with Jamie Hayter on her side.
Now, if AEW is smart, they put the title on Britt Baker because Britt Baker runs that women's division, okay? She is your top draw from a casual fan standpoint outside of Will Nightingale. Britt Baker is the top of the top. But since Mercedes Moné allegedly has creative control, she put herself over. And yeah, I think Moné walks out of All In as your champion, especially because we have a lot of other title switches going on. I think she's going to be one of the people who retains her title.
Okay.
And I think, yeah, Mercedes walks out with the title.
And now I don't know Cody's reasoning for this, but he also has Mercedes Moné winning. There's a lot of clean sweeps on this. We're all in the same accord apparently, with the exception of the first mixed tag match where Cody had to go Willow. Next match is the Casino Gauntlet match, with the stipulation being a future AEW World Championship match is at stake, but you're not first in line, you're second in line, because Darby Allin is first in line. He gets dibs, I believe, at the winner of the Swerve and Danielson match. So we were talking off camera, and I thought Pac, you're right, Pac gets the international belt. Darby Allin gets the world title belt. So he's next in line to get a world title shot to fight either Danielson or Swerve. So you'll probably be second in line behind Darby Allin. And then this casino gauntlet match in general usually is just one big clusterfuck because you don't really know what to follow, because it's basically a reverse Royal Rumble. So it's one fall to a pin. People come out at random increments, but if number 1 and number 2 come out and somebody gets a pin, number 3 don't get to come out. So
Okay.
it's the reverse, because if you're number 1, which number 1's Orange Cassidy, he won that stipulation to be the first person to come out. If you're number 1, you have the greatest chance of winning because you could end the match at any point without a whole bunch of people being part of the gauntlet. But Tony Khan has already gone out to say that he is going to load up this gauntlet match with talent. I think this is where we'll get like Moxley and Hangman and Okada, and the people that aren't in a match just probably get thrown into this gauntlet match. I'm going to go with Cody's pick. He has Hangman Page winning the gauntlet match. My pick is, and I mentioned it earlier, and this might spoil who I think is going to win the world title match. I think Ricochet wins the gauntlet match.
Yeah, you took my pick. Yeah, I gotta go with Ricochet also. If Ricochet debuts, I got Ricochet. I want to play the fence, but yeah, because like, hey, you could do Heyman and Swerve part 3, or you could do part 4. All 47.
Feud that never ends.
Yeah, especially Ricochet is already is like, yeah, give me Ricochet, and then actually, wait, no, actually no, don't give me Ricochet, because I don't think Ricochet debuts in this, because I think you build Ricochet to a program with Will Ospreay.
Okay.
But this is for the world heavyweight title, right? The AEW world title.
Right.
So this is going to be the winner of Strickland and Danielson, and the winner of that versus Darby.
Correct.
Crap. I don't know.
It's just kind of hard. It's kind of hard to make a pick when you don't know who's in the match.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like, do we get Swerve Strickland versus Adam Page again? But I don't see Swerve's title reign lasting that much longer, and I don't see either Swerve or Danielson beating Darby Allin. And do I really want a Darby Allin versus Hangman match? And do I want the title on Hangman Page again? That's the problem. Let's see. I'll come back to this pick. I'm gonna look at some roster stuff. See if a name flies out at me. I'll come back to that pick.
I'm just thinking of like people who would make sense, like as like a spoiler. Like Lance Archer rings a bell. Like they could do like that shock big guy win, or a Will Hobbs makes his return, because I think he's coming back from injury soon. I don't know. That I'll let you have a moment there to think about it while we jump into what I can guarantee to be the worst match of the card. And honestly, this should be on the pre-show and not Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale. It is for the FTW Championship between Chris Jericho and Hook, with the stipulation that if Hook loses, he can no longer fight Chris Jericho for the FTW belt for as long as Chris Jericho is champion. I think this is an obvious decision. This might be the most predictable match of them all. Hook is going to win this match. And I honestly could see Taz having some form of interference, though I don't know how good his knees are at this point, if he can even stand in the ring and do a move or take a bump. But yeah, give me Hook. Cody has Hook to win.
Yeah, I'll do Hook as well.
there ain't much to talk about. I hate Chris Jericho's gimmick. The learning tree is dumb, and it's wasting the talent of Brian Keith and Big Bill, in my opinion. Like, it's Chris Jericho making fun of his fans, and we all can see that he's making fun of us, and it's boring, and it's dumb, and I hate it. And if Cody was on the show, he would say that it's funny and entertaining, but I don't find it funny. I just find it annoying. Couple more matches here. We got a 3-way tag team match for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. The champions, the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, defend against FTR and the Acclaimed. And Cody has the Young Bucks retaining. I think we get too many Young Bucks versus FTR matches in these big pay-per-views. I think the Acclaimed wins the belts. They've had a resurgence as of lately, and they're kind of rebranding themselves. They're still using Scissor Me as kind of their catchphrase, but they have a new catchphrase now, which is shut up or nut up or something like that. Nut up or shut up. I don't know. Something like that.
Okay.
And they're over. Bowens is over. Everybody on Twitter hates Max Caster for whatever reason. I think the Acclaimed wins just simply because I don't know. This is just a gut feeling. I really don't have a legitimate reason why they should win it. And to be completely honest, they probably shouldn't win the belts again because their first title reign wasn't really that good. I'm just tired of seeing the Young Bucks and FTR holding the World Tag Team Championships because it seems like they just pass them to each other. And we're losing the Lucha Bros, and we lost out on Motor City and Machine Guns, and we just need to bring some of these other tag teams into the mix. Private Party. We could do the Guns. We can do what is it called? Malachi Black's group, the
House of Black.
House of Black. There's so many other tag teams that I think should have a opportunity to shine, and it's just like rinse and repeat of Young Bucks and FTR. And they're like, don't get me wrong, they're really good tag teams, but it gets kind of boring when every pay-per-view it's FTR or the Acclaimed or the Young Bucks, some combination of the three in your tag team picture. I'm going to get the Acclaimed to take the titles here. Cody has the Bucks winning.
I got the Bucks holding on for one more chance and for one more match. And I think maybe the Acclaim get a singles match against them again, maybe at All Out. Is there anything like leading up to that yet?
So there isn't, and the only thing that I could see if the Bucks were to win, and maybe this is where Cody was going, I don't know. He just gave me his list of winners. He didn't tell me why. Is we could see Grizzled Young Veterans show up. They're rumored to come to AEW, and then it sets up a Bucks versus GYV match at All Out. But I don't know if they would do that. There's not any other tag team that is like imminently in the picture. So if the Bucks retain, you would have to assume it would be them versus FTR or them versus the Acclaimed if they're going to put the tag team titles on in Chicago. I don't know if they would. My feeling is the Chicago crowd's going to get probably the TNT belt. We'll probably see Jack Perry there again because everybody knows Jack. Like, again, Tony Khan is petty, and he's going to run Jack Perry in Chicago just because CM Punk's from Chicago.
Give me the
And
Young Bucks.
I like it.
Well, I got my winner for the Casino Battle Royal.
Yes, sir.
Casino Gauntlet. All right. I got me a surprise entrance. Okay. Give me Bobby Lashley.
I like it. That's a good one. I like that. Bobby Lashley. I didn't even think about that. everybody was saying he was going to debut when they were running in Collision in Arlington because he's from Texas, but he never showed up. So I like that. That would be a nice surprise if it's like a bit like I said, Lance Archer would be like the surprise big guy that would win. Like Lashley would fit that category as well.
Yeah, but I can picture you get Swerve and Danielson, and then you get like Danielson versus Darby, and then
And
Bobby versus Danielson maybe.
I could see it. Alrighty, 2 more matches. We have the 4-way ladder match for the AEW Trios Championships. I hate this match. I hate the idea of this match. The 4 teams, the Patriarchy, which is Christian Cage, Killswitch, and Nick Wayne, they will defend their belts against the Bang Bang Gang, which is Juice Robinson, Austin Gunn, and Colton Gunn, which probably means Jay White's going to show up in the gauntlet. We got the House of Black, Malachi, Brody, and Buddy. And then the team of Wheeler Yuta, Claudio Castagnoli, and surprise, this match is on Collision, which was on tape delay. You'll see it Saturday. Pac fights with them, and they win the match to take the final spot. I'm going to pick the Patriarchy to retain just simply because I don't see any reason why they wouldn't retain. Plus, we're so close to Killswitch or Luchasaurus or whatever you want to call him turning on Christian Cage. I think we'll get that eventually. But I think the Patriarchy retains. So does Cody. He has a retain of the Patriarchy.
Yeah, I got the Patriarchy as well. They're currently like the only group that has motion right now. These guys that got some aura, some movement, and all those guys just seem like just like regular tag teams right now. They're not making too much noise.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. The trios division and the tag team division in AEW needs some major TLC because it's kind of been neglected over the past 6 months or so, I would say. And then we get to our main event. Swerve Strickland, Bryan Danielson. They're calling this the final countdown because if Bryan Danielson loses this match, he retires from AEW. This is a title versus career match. And so if Bryan Danielson loses this match, he's essentially done. Swerve Strickland, I said this on my personal social media. I think I sent it to y'all. I think Swerve Strickland is the biggest draw in AEW right now. Him and Nana are like I went to the show in Winston-Salem, the Dynamite, and when Swerve came out, it was the loudest the crowd was the entire night. And it was towards the end of the show when Swerve made his first appearance. He's the biggest draw, I think, right now. And I know. So Sean Ross Sapp wrote an article, I believe, on the Patreon, where he's saying that Swerve's title run is probably coming close to an end. But the idea is maybe Darby Allin wins his title opportunity and he has a short title run, which I don't know if Darby's ready for a world title opportunity. Which if you have your way and Darby fights Bobby Lashley, like Darby's going to die. So that's also kind of why it's like Ricochet is here. I have Swerve Strickland winning this match, so I'm basically saying Danielson's going to retire, but not so fast. I think his retirement match is in October when they go to Tacoma, Washington. He's going to turn heel here real quick and reignite the Blackpool Combat Club to be like this dominant heel faction. And he's just going to say, I made this promise to my daughter, but screw my daughter. I'm going to have one last run, one last match, and I'm going to fight Moxley or somebody from Blackpool Combat Club to retire him at his hometown. That's where I see Danielson going. Swerve wins. I have Ricochet winning that gauntlet. Darby loses to Swerve, and so we have Ricochet versus Swerve Strickland. And you can build such a good story with Swerve versus Ricochet because they have history with Lucha Underground. So you have a story there. And I don't know. I feel like you can't pull the belt off of Swerve yet. Now, I think you can pull it eventually. I think Ricochet could be the one to pull it off. Like I said, Ricochet's probably going to get a rocket strapped to his back from day one because, like you said, he has that name recognition. He has that facial recognition of a casual fan. You're scrolling through your TV channels and you see Ricochet on TV, and your first reaction is either, where's his hot-ass wife? Or, hey, there's Ricochet. And you might actually tune into AEW. And I think, does Ricochet deserve a world title opportunity or like the belt right away? Probably not. Tony Khan hasn't been a guy to just give you a title, but then again, he did it with Mercedes Moné. And so I think if he's thinking long term that they could build a really good feud with Swerve and Ricochet, they'll run that story. And there is a story there to be run. I have Swerve retaining the belt here. Cody has Danielson winning. And honestly, like, this is one of the hardest one to pick, but I'm gonna keep it at Swerve.
Let's see. I have Swerve Strickland winning, but for other reasons.
Okay.
Now, for anybody who follows, the Slap the Meat Wrestling podcast or the Casual Wrestling Show, I've put a little early WrestleMania prediction out there. I think we get Cody Rhodes versus Bryan Danielson at WrestleMania this April, and I think he wants to get one more Mania out of his body before he calls it quits. So I think, he has his last couple matches in AEW, whether it be this one or whether it be in October, like you said. But I think his career comes to an end tonight. Or not tonight, on this Sunday. And then I think, he sits at home for what we got: September, October, November, December, right, January. You know what I'm saying? And then he's sitting home, but there's still a little tingle in the air. He's like, a little tingle in the bones. He's like, I think I got one more Mania in me. Right. And then you run Cody versus Danielson at Mania, because I think Cody's going to be, whether he has a title or not, I think he won't have the title, but whether he has it or not, I think he's going to get caught in no man's land because you're going to have Roman versus Rock, and then him and Solo, that match isn't big enough for Mania, especially after you kind of just got out the way. I think Randy's going to be with Cena.
Right, it's Cena's last WrestleMania. That's going to be the spotlight. Yeah,
and I think you got Cena, Randy, and I don't really see someone for Cody at Mania. Right. I think you bring in Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, however you want to call him, for one more Mania match. And and that's a big marquee match that could have the title, could not have the title. I'd rather it not have the title, kind of similar to Seth when Cody first returns.
Right.
So that's why I got Swerve winning and putting Bryan into a retirement as far as his AEW career.
And so another thing I didn't bring up, but I think it's important to understand, is Danielson's contract is over. He's running on a handshake deal at this point.
Yep.
So to me, he's already said he's not going to re-sign another contract with AEW. So why put the belt on him? I kind of like your idea. That would actually make sense because WrestleMania is in Vegas this year. And so you have to have some sort of surprise. And that would be a really good surprise. Like Cody, like you could have the story, like Cody loses the belt and he just goes on some losing streak. And he does what Seth Rollins did when Cody first showed up. Like, I just want a WrestleMania match. Somebody come out and fight me. And then you get the Daniel Bryan theme song, and that crowd would pop for him to show back up.
Ooh.
It would probably be
The American Nightmare
versus
versus
the American
Dragon.
Right.
Woo!
I kind of like that. I'm on that train there. I like that way of thinking. But yeah, that's AEW All In. As always, there's probably going to be a couple more matches that Tony Khan just thinks about at 2 a.m. before the show and throws on the card. There's a lot of ways that you can watch All In. On the States, that you got Bleacher Report, you got your cable and satellite, you got Dave and Buster's nationwide. You can watch it on Triller TV, Fight TV, YouTube, payperview.com, and I think international subscribers can watch it on DAZN as well. There's a lot of ways that you can watch this pay-per-view. It's the biggest show of AEW's calendar year. I'm definitely going to tune in for it. And any last words, my friend? Oh, yeah. Hold on real quick. My brother, We Too Deep, just popped something in here. The first SmackDown on USA is in Seattle, Washington. So, I mean, maybe, just maybe.
Is that where Daniel Bryan's from?
He's from Aberdeen, Washington, which is just outside of Seattle.
Gotcha. When's the first SmackDown? Is that the start of the year?
On USA, which is in October.
October.
Yeah.
I
might be a little early.
Return that early. That's early.
Yeah. That's a little early. I think you can't ruin that would be a WrestleMania surprise to have Danielson pop back up. That's not something you're going to spoil at the Royal Rumble, or something like that. You're going to give that that Hardy Boy WrestleMania 33 vibe where. Or this Cody Rhodes vibe where he just kind of shows up, and it's supposed to be a surprise. We knew Cody was coming, it was obvious, but it was meant to be a surprise. And so, yeah. Any last words before we head out? I know you're going to be on 2 shows tonight.
Well, no, the other one got canceled.
The other show got canceled.
Yeah, he got out of some business thing late, and he canceled today's show.
Well, I was going to plug it, but I won't plug it tonight because he canceled it. But I'll plug your show every Tuesday, the Slapping Meat Wrestling Podcast. They got their own YouTube channel. But any last words before we head on out of here tonight, my friend?
This Sunday is going to be a long day of wrestling. You got the pre-show. That starts at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The main show starts at 1. The show itself is going to be 7-8 hours long. So, hope y'all got some C4, some Dubby energy drinks, okay? Get you that Dubby and watch some good old wrestling.
The host of the Slapping Meat Wrestling Podcast is telling me that I got to inform y'all they have an episode every Tuesday and every Friday on their YouTube channel. So tune in every Tuesday and every Friday, except this week where they have 0 episodes this week. But anyways, they'll be back starting Tuesday, and we'll be back next Thursday, me and K-Dog, breaking down the fallout of All In and what the short lead up to All Out's going to be. Because we basically after Sunday have 2 weeks to build any stories that we have to build.
Better than 1 week.
Yes, it's better than. Thank God you're running a show next Sunday, because if not, we would have had a show next Sunday. This is what I love about All In being in Texas next year, is that show's in July, so we're going to have a month before All Out. Most likely. So, anyways, this has been an episode of the Beyond the Junkyard podcast. That's Wavy D. I'm JYJ. We will see y'all next week, same time, same channel.